Well, welcome everyone. And this video is going to be about working on this area here. These are all azaleas, white azaleas. They're not the encore ones that bloom and bloom. They're more the original, if you might, but they are gorgeous. And they look healthy this season, but they've gotten way too much sun. We used to have a much larger tree here and replaced it with this Japanese maple. So we're thinking about opening this area up, moving all these into various parts of the yard. And so I thought I'd start a video on this project. We're thinking of making this more of a Mediterranean garden with ornamental thyme, which is that bright green one there. You can see it out there. And then getting some very large flagstone pavers from a stone company, and then laying out some of those stones here for a little bit of a pathway. And so we're going to take these back all the way to that archway. You can see better from here. This is all ferns. I think they call these sword ferns along in here. They're very happy. Just towards the end of their season. We're just the first day of fall now, so you can see they're just starting to get a little brown. But we'll clear this area out and find new homes for all of these beautiful azaleas out in the yard. And stay with us as we go on this journey. All right, so now that we've got good clean dirt and we can identify our root areas more easily, you can see that there's multiple plants in this area, and I want to get them all up individually and with as little damage to the roots as possible. So having a clear base is important. So let's go ahead and start digging out, and we'll start from the front here and just work our way back into that whole section. Well, you can see these are coming out with nice big root balls, which is exactly what I was looking for. I want to retain a lot of that dirt, and hopefully the azalea is barely aware that it has been moved. So these two came out pretty easily, and they kept good root balls as well. These all started from one or two plants, I think, and they just keep kind of moving by vegetative growth. The limbs get down in the dirt, they send down roots, and a whole new plant starts. So we'll keep going here. I may have to stop and plant some of these because I don't want them sitting out too long. So I may have to do that right now. Well, that root ball was so heavy I had to use a dolly to get it over here and put a strap around the base so I could tilt it back. But there's our hole right there. Let's see if we can get it in there. Well, I had to move him because this spot over here, he just was too big for it. There's a butterfly bush right there that it would have fought with. So moved it here, and I think it's got plenty of room to do its thing now. So we'll get it all tamped in there, and it's kind of surrounded by an old decaying stump, which I actually think azaleas like because it gets the soil a little acidic. So let's get that put back in there. All right, so here's the other two. There's one of them there. There's the other one there. And here's that big one you just put in. So that's a much better fit. In fact, it goes off at an angle and up, so that'll give this butterfly bush plenty of room to grow this spring and summer. And that one fit in that hole just like it was made for it. And again, this is an old pine stump here that's just rotting, and I think these guys love that kind of thing. So hopefully, and by the way, these are all white, so I think I've mentioned that earlier, so hopefully that'll give a nice splash of white. All right, so there they are, all back in. Kind of wouldn't even know that they hadn't been there the whole time, so that's great. But that's only 3 of them, and we probably have 10 more in here. At least 2 or 3 of them are as big as that one that I just had to find a home for. So, but we'll get them slow and steady. But shadows are getting long right now, so it's time to quit. Okay, this is another pretty big azalea here, and I've dug all around. Didn't bore you with that. You can see all the way around the base of this particular one. And this crazy contraption here is my furniture dolly, I guess you'd call it, or just regular heavy-duty dolly. And what I've done is put that red strap around the base, trying to avoid any small branches, because when I pull back on this, it's going to yank the whole thing out of the ground, I hope. And I don't want to break, I want to minimize how many branches I break. Okay, let's give it a go. I will say again, on video it doesn't look very big, but trying to pick that up by hand, it's probably 100, maybe 120 pounds of plant and dirt. So using the leverage of the dolly, I can pick it up reasonably easy, and so that'll be a lot easier on the back too. But you can see the roots are down in here, and I had to adjust it because they were rubbing on the wheel there. All right, let's take it, and we're going to put it right over here, right kind of behind this bench, right in that spot. So let's go on over there. All right, I think that's about the best orientation. Lets the azalea spread out. You can see the branch comes, it's a little hard to see on the video, but it comes all the way out to here. So it's got a lot of room to grow and move. So we'll fill that in, put a little a little bit of berm around it, and we're done with this one. All right, there it is. Hardly tell it was moved. Put all the leaves around it. So that one's done. Hopefully that'll flourish there. All right, it'll be more of the same. Get this clump out of here, and I suspect there's 5 or 6 bushes in there, so I won't bore you with all that. Well, here we are the next day, and these are the ones I'll call them the smaller ones, except for this one, which is pretty big. But all these little ones over here, also ran the mower around here, that's why stuff is all stacked up. Kind of mowed down the various plants that are dormant over the winter. Anyhow, so it turns out that had a lot more than I thought originally in that spot. So if we count them all up, including all these, remember these over here, and these two, turns out there's something like 25 plants we pulled out of there. So it was time to get them all sorted out and thinned out and all that. Give them plenty of room to grow. So next thing I want to show you is what they look like in springtime. So for you, it'll be 2 seconds away. For me, a couple of months. And sorry, before I forget, this is the area we took them out of. So it's all opened up compared to what it was. These are just a few little pansies that the boss had planted there, and they'll stay over the winter. But we'll be working in material into here, some grit and some really rich topsoil, and then we'll get those pavers and we'll start to put the plantings in place. All right, so I'm ready to rototill this area, and what I've done to amend the soil after all these wonderful azaleas came out is I brought in 4 wheelbarrow loads of natural garden compost, which is leaves and whatnot, and that's all kind of in here. This is called paver sand, but it's also known as grit in some circles, which gives the soil a little more aeration. We have heavy clay here, and I put some of these things. I put some Epsom salt for the magnesium. I put lime in to keep the soil nice and sweet and to keep it open, and then this slow release fertilizer that hopefully will help to keep that soil going strong. So now I'm going to use the rototiller to mix it all in, and then we'll cover it up for pine straw right now, with pine straw right now, just until it's planting season in about a month and a half or 2 months. All right, let me get started on that. Well, there we go. I was pretty fast on that rototiller, wasn't I? So that'll get the first pass. And now what I'll do, which I won't bore you with, is go through and dig down and get any of the hard bits up. Like right here on the edge, it's just a little bit harder for the rototiller to get into. But as you can see here, I'm going all the way down to the bottom of the shovel. I'm getting as far as I can. And I'm trying to get that big old chunk up like that. Again, you can see there's red clay right there. So what I'm going to do is go around and dig it like that, rototill it, and then I have a plumber shovel. It's even longer. It'll go through and do the same thing with, I think some people call it double digging or whatever. But the intent is to get down good and far so that the roots will have a chance to really get in there. Alrighty. So here it is, double dug. I'll do a close-up here. Oops, out of focus. There we go. You can see all that red clay in there, which is not bad. It's good stuff. It's got a lot of good nutrients. It's just kind of heavy for some plants to get the roots through. So we've dug that edge all the way along there. Oops, now we're going to run that rototiller along there. And I didn't say it before, my goal is to have that rototiller sink down all the way up to that white plate there. So, and easily, so that it kind of swims through the dirt. All right, let's take a look at that. Well, you can see as deeply as I dug that down, the rototiller was still not sinking all the way. That's why I have to use that plumber shovel that's even deeper. But I'll keep doing that. I won't bore you with all those details. And we'll have a beautiful bed to plant in here come springtime. All right, so this is the next round of, I guess you call it double digging. So you can see all that clay that I brought up to the surface again. And we'll run the rototiller and probably do it one more time. And again, in between these, I try to get the other supplements I'm putting in here down deep in the ground. Especially lime. Apparently it takes a long time to drift its way down to the deeper areas. So anyhow, we'll keep going on it. All right, so all rototilled and leveled out, at least for the moment, kind of a temporary leveling. And this is the new pine straw. You can see a bale of it over there. And this is a trick, just for those of you who want to know. If you want to try and get a good coverage of pine straw and kind of fluffy look to the bed without going broke, you can get some fresh pine straw like that over there and use the old stuff from around the trees that you don't need. Bring it over, put it down, and then just do a light sprinkling of pine straw on top, and there you go. Kind of like a coat of paint on a room. So let me finish that up and I'll show you what it looks like. All right, so here's the area where we moved the azaleas from. All kind of neatened up and sorted itself out. And there's the rest of the azaleas. You can see them starting to bloom there. And here they are, looking very healthy. Got some nice blooms on them. There's another one. Again, looking very healthy. And all these over here, some blooms on them. And lastly, over here. So these are all the new ones, the white ones. These are ones that have already been here and looking beautiful. This is their time of year to shine. Yeah. So these azaleas have all made the transplant very nicely. So I'm thrilled with it. Thrilled with how that came out. All right, well, thanks for watching, and good luck with moving azaleas around in your yard. Just one small note is that, again, all of these came from just a handful of plants. And there's, I think, 25 of them, as that's what I said earlier in the video, that came out of just that one spot. Let me show you what's remaining there. So this batch of azaleas, that's where the ones that I moved came from. And all of these are still here. And again, I think all of these came from just 3 or 4 plants. If you want to, you can start to do this very simply by just putting a rock. I think there's one in there someplace, but I'm not sure I can see it. Anyhow, you just put a rock on a branch, kind of like that one right there next to the ground. And by next year, you'll have a well-rooted plant and on its way to becoming one of these. All right, well, you guys enjoy your gardens, and good luck with moving plants around. And thanks for watching. Please subscribe and like. Bye.